I can tap fire a Tanto with a binary trigger and get a much higher fire rate than a full auto Tanto at its current rate of fire. So this actually could be really good because it's going to increase the effective fire rate of the Tanto. And if it doesn't reduce the damage, that's going to make the time to kill of the Tanto way faster than it is right now. We are live, boys and girls. Well, excuse me, welcome to Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast, episode 496. My name is Casey, also known as Razinon. Today, I'm joined by Tanner for a fun and exciting edition of the Dropshot Call of Duty Podcast. How's it going, big dog?
Yeah, good.
Cool.
496, huh? Is that what we're working with? Wow.
496 is what we're working with. We are rapidly approaching episode 500, which we will be doing on a Saturday evening, and we will be drinking. And it will be fun, and you should be there. I don't know when exactly that will be, but I can tell you this, it will be on a Saturday. So we will do
the first, maybe March 1st.
We're going to do episode 499, which is going to be on a Saturday. And then after that, we're going to do episode 499 plus one. And then after that, we're going to do episode 500.
Yeah.
And then after that, we're going to do episode 501 minus one. And then we'll be right back on track. My math worked, by the way. It made sense. So anyways, welcome to the show.
So much sense, yeah.
It made the most sense. And today we have a couple of things to talk about. We did just get the new event, which I believe is called Shadow Hunt, which doesn't really matter, but it does bring some new items, one of which I am quite excited to talk about. So we will have some announcements. Stick around for the end of the show. First announcement I'm going to put at the front, though. We talked last episode about whether or not you should use the Krig versus the Model L. I have now used the Krig a lot. Do not use it. It is, in fact, much harder to use than a Model L, at least on controller. This could be different on keyboard and mouse. I think it actually might be, because the Krig has a lot of like first shot recoil, but then it gets pretty steady. And I feel like that's a lot easier to control on keyboard and mouse. So maybe in that case, give it a try. But on controller, the Model L is just much, much easier to use. You'll hit more shots. So you should do that. Because I know we talked about it in the last episode. Keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Slut Beef with the roses on YouTube. Those roses are more appropriate. Thank you for the $4.99 United States dollars super chat. King. That is the equivalent of, I don't know the math. A lot of roses, though. Oh, wait. It's 1,000 roses, isn't it?
I don't think we ever got
it was? 1,000 diamonds is $5.
Got an answer that was accurate.
I understand it now.
It was not 1,000. More like 100,000.
Okay.
It was a lot.
Thank you, Slump Beef, for those roses. Much appreciated for the $4.99 mega chat. Now, let's get into the content of today's episode. So as I said, we just got the Shadow Hunt, whatever event. Prior to that, there was one other patch 2 days ago. For multiplayer, this was nothing. Just a couple little bug fixes and some more ranked play restrictions. If you play ranked, you already know what those are. So now today's patch notes, I haven't seen these yet. They are not big. Some more things were restricted in ranked play. Extraction is being added to the map pool in general playlists. And I'm an expert on what that map is, so that's good. And,
is that a map or a mode?
I don't know, man. And then the couples dance off and third wheel gunfight.
What the hell is that?
are new LTMs that have been added to featured. These are like the Valentine's Day LTMs that we had gone over in the roadmap. So.
Oh, that's that one map that, okay. Yeah, it's that map that's like right on the water at like a helicopter base or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Pad. Yeah.
It's actually a decent map.
I've never played it. Yeah.
Yeah, I played that a couple times when it came out. So.
Oh, I think I did real early on, actually.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for multiplayer. And now into Warzone. Again, not too much going on with this, but let's see if
they fix Mountaineer, huh?
Let's see if they fix Mountaineer, which they added on the launch of Season 2, which still does not work. We've had one patch this week, 2 days ago on Tuesday. Ranked play! Experimental gas grenades have been restricted in Warzone ranked play. Asterisk. So,
yeah.
Jake, myself, and Cope were playing Warzone. And then, I'm not kidding, the moment this patch went live, I said, we're queuing ranked, because I would love to not see any gas grenades. So we queue for ranked, Warzone. After this patch that said experimental gas has been restricted, and the first thing that happens is Cope says, hey, Raz, catch this. He throws an experimental gas grenade at my character. Got it. No. So what they had actually done was disallowed you from using it in your loadout, but you could still find them as ground loot, which helped, but that's not what restricted and ranked play means. Now, normally, I'd be very bugged about this. However, they fixed the issue, I think, the same day. Maybe the next day, there are now no gas grenades whatsoever. You can't equip them, and you can't find them either in ranked play. Let me be abundantly clear. I am shocked that they fixed that in a day. I'm shocked. I can't believe it. I did not expect to have unlootable or lootable gas grenades not in ranked Warzone for the entire season. I'm not kidding. Yeah. I genuinely am shocked that they actually did it, but they did, and much to their credit, because this is why we were not playing ranked play, and now I am playing ranked play. Are there still cheaters? Yeah, but there are no gas grenades, and that makes it a lot more enjoyable. Genuinely much more fun, because these items, so obviously, never should have been added to the game in the first place. And if I can play ranked and never see them, or play publics, experience an equal amount of cheaters, and also experience gas grenades lots, guess what I'm picking? Ranked. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been a treat. Has it been perfect? Fuck no. Of course not, obviously. And when you die to some bullshit with your SR on the line, respect my SR, it really will grind your gears lots more than it will even in Publix. But still overall worth it. Because that's how terrible gas grenades are as a design decision. Just conceptually, such a bad idea.
Yep. They shouldn't be in pubs, of course, but it's not something they're going to remove now.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that funny how even though it's like you don't care about ranked because it's infested with cheaters anyways, your rank really means nothing. It's funny how much more angry you'll get just from dying and other crap when ultimately you don't care because it really doesn't matter, but you can't help but get more angry at it. It's funny.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah. Like, none of us care about it. If we think about it, we don't care about our rank. Because realistically, at least me, I'm never getting iridescent. There are too many cheaters. I'm not good enough. The seasons aren't long enough. If the seasons were much longer, I probably could do it with my current team because I have Jake on my team. But as it stands, and if there were no cheaters, I could absolutely do it. But as it stands, it's just not happening. So if I can't get the highest rank, I don't care. Like, I've gotten Crimson before. I have that skin. But it's embarrassing to run a Crimson skin. It's in fact the most embarrassing skin. Because you've come so close, but you came up short. That's me. That's me. And I've come to peace. I've come to terms with that. I've accepted that. But it reminds me of something Tanner and I have always talked about. The most embarrassing calling card in Call of Duty multiplayer is the Brutal Killer calling card, which is for a 25 kill streak. Now you might be thinking, wow, that's really good. But what it tells me is you got so close to the nuke and you couldn't do it. You choked, you panicked, whatever it is, and now you run the Brutal calling card. Don't run it. Run the nuke calling card or like the Relentless one. Because if you're running the Relentless one, you're good. You're not quite good enough to get a nuke. If you run the Brutal calling card, you are good enough to get a nuke, but you're mentally weak. Yeah. That's what it is. You're good enough to get 30 kills in a row if you can do 25. So if you've gotten 25 and failed, you are mentally weak and you choked under the pressure. You caved. By the way, I actually also have the Brutal calling card in BO6 currently because the match ended, to be fair to me. But I've gotten a nuke at least before in multiple other COD games in Public's multiplayer. But yeah, Warzone Iridescent is a different ball game. But it is funny, like you said, that even though I know I shouldn't care, I do about the stupid number next to my name. Yeah. I still care. I shouldn't, but I do because I'm an idiot ape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something? I thought I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, wasn't it Itchy who ran the Brutal calling card?
I think
he did.
Might have, yeah.
Yeah.
And he is very.
And now he had a real downward spiral after. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yep.
If you run the Brutal calling card, it's just your life falls apart. It's that simple. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a warning sign.
Fall apart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So don't get a Brutal calling card, guys. Get a nuke or don't get anything at all. And if you get a Brutal calling card, hide it. Hide it in shame. You should be ashamed of yourself. Oh man. That's all I have in BO6. Anyway, so all of that is to say, to again Activision's credit, gas grenades are actually not in ranked anymore. And that does make it so much more fun. Because you automatically it bugs me. Anyway. The next patch note is fix an issue where demotion protection would not prevent a player from demoting. Tanner and I both experienced this last season where it said like next 8 matches, no SR losses. And then we would lose a match and then actually lose SR because the game doesn't function. This may or may not be fixed, by the way. I am not convinced any patch note is true until I see it for myself. And you guys shouldn't be either because all of the patch notes, all of the major patch notes to date, every season and season update have been chock full of lies. Chock full of lies. Like genuinely more than 10% of every season of season 1 Reloaded, season 2, and even big patches pre-season 1, chocked full of lies. So I don't know if this is true. It may or may not be true. If it is, not good, but I would assume not. Yeah, I would assume not. And like Tanner mentioned, by the way, were you guys excited for that cool new perk called Mountaineer that's been in the game and functioned in the past? This is a problem we had already solved. It still doesn't work. It does nothing.
Yeah. Hey, maybe that's on their Trello board.
Oh, I need to put... where is that tweet?
What's the tweet?
That's the most important thing. That Raven's hiring a new guy. I retweeted it.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I need to put that in here. Okay. It is now in there. Anyway, moving on from that. So back to the notes here. That's a good change if true, but we'll see. And then some bug fixes. Oh, here's the first one. Fixed additional collision issues on Urikistan that allowed players to exploit geography. What that, of course, means by exploiting geography is characters underneath the map where you can't shoot them, but they can shoot you. Guess what happened to me multiple times after this patch? I'll give you a rundown. We're on a roof playing ranked, like 5th circle, late, maybe 4th circle, and 5th circle, actually. It's happened a lot, multiple games. We hear a parachute, and then we all look around. We look up like lemmings, like, oh, where is it? Where is it? Looking for some bird of prey. And guess who's parachuting? It's some guy next to us underneath the map. We were looking in the wrong direction. However, if we were looking in the correct direction, which is down, we still wouldn't see him because he's under the map. So this is not fixed, to be clear. You will still die to people under the map, and a lot, by the way. In fact, in Discord, someone linked the most I'm not joking, the most depressing streamer I've ever seen. Toller linked it, I think. It is this guy who live streams to Twitch. He is 100 years old, which is fine. It's fine to be 100 years old. But the rest of what I'm about to say is not fun. Streaming Call of Duty.
Yeah. While
being under the map. And he is... Oh, no. I'm sorry. This is a different guy. I'm so sorry. I'm thinking of two separate cheaters that were recently talked about on live streams in our Discord. The old guy is not going under the map. He doesn't need to because he's walling and aimbotting.
He's the DMZ guy, right?
Yes. He's 100 years old and he queues into Call of Duty DMZ, which has the worst player base of any playlist in Call of Duty, by the way. You don't need to cheat to kill these people, but this decrepit old man does. Incredibly unkempt, disgusting. He either does not have children or he is removed from them. They have cut him out of their lives. One of the two, both of which are kind of sad. But you can see why. I would cut contact if that was my, God forbid, if that was my father, right? Walling and aimbotting in DMZ. And he's like talking shit to people who call him out for it. It's insane. Then there was another guy that Jake linked who was streaming on YouTube under the map in ranked play. So I, of course, went into his chat and said, hey, can we donate somewhere, bro? And he answered me seriously, like sincerely, as if I was ever going to do that. So he says, oh, yeah, bro, go to my Twitch. There's a link there. Thanks. And I said, LeMayo, exclamation point. Imagine thinking I would do that. And then I said some other things that I would get banned for if I spoke them today. And then I immediately left. But all of that is to say, this issue's not fixed at all. We actually lost a game because of this, because the first time we heard a parachute and it was some guy under the map, we were able to avoid him, fine. But another time we were by, on the east side of the map by that island, the manor or whatever, Shaheen Manor, I believe it's called. Yeah. And there was a guy under the map, like on the coast, who forced us to go right, pretty late game, when we really wanted to go left to access the bridge, but instead we had to swim. And then everyone sees us swimming across, and then we get held. So the guy under the map didn't kill us, but he led to our imminent demise when we otherwise would not have died in that way at all. Because we would have just gone left. If that guy was not under the map, we would have run him over. And if he wasn't there at all, we would have just crossed the bridge and then been fine. So yeah, I mean, not fixed and a terrible, terrible game and devs. And the game isn't quality assured. So what else?
And we've had this map for 15 months, by the way.
That's also
and they're
true.
Still fixing issues like this because they had fixed most of these issues, probably all of them last year. And then they reverted the map to day one for BO6 Warzone for a reason that we know and makes a lot of sense for sure. And now that's why all these bugs are back.
That's correct. Yes.
So again,
we're experts on why
months later, into the second iteration of the map that's had already been out for a year and we're fixing bugs that had already been fixed exactly a year ago or more. So got it. It's perfect. It's the perfect cycle, and they should never change the way they do things, for sure. They should keep Warzone this way forever. Yeah. Just keep rotating it every year.
Right.
It's working great, guys.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like how many? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so fix an issue causing squad members self-revives from showing on the squad widget. Okay. Fix an issue that prevented players from purchasing limited stock items and legacy ranked achievements from carrying over. I will say, by the way, I think self-revives were silent. Even though they had said they made them not silent, they are no longer silent. So they did a stealth.
Oh, that's good.
They did a stealth buff.
Classic.
They occasionally have done this year. They haven't increased the brightness of the map and not said anything, so that's not what I'm saying. But there are a couple of things that they've fixed and not talked about, which I can now understand. The reason they do that is so that they can pretend it's always worked the whole time. Because I was confused at first. I was like, why would they fix something and not take credit for it? And then I was like, oh, if they just fix it and don't say anything, they don't look as bad. Because they didn't have to say like, oh, by the way, self-reses were silent and now we fixed them. Or we said we fixed self-res sound, but we didn't, but now we did, I promise. Good. Don't put it in a patch note. They should, but anyway. And then I think that's it. There was a new event that we're going to talk about, but they didn't do. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Some patch notes for today, the 13th. Really just bug fixes. Fix an issue that prevented players from properly using the rejoin feature to reconnect to a match in progress. Do not believe this. The rejoin feature always may or may not work every time. It'll sometimes work. That was true before this bug fix. That's still true. That's always been true. The rejoin feature has never worked 3 times in a row for me, ever. Since they've added it during Caldera or whenever it was. It'll sometimes work and it sometimes won't, and that's still true. So if you disconnect, it's the game's fault you disconnected, first of all. So let's fix that. But then when you reconnect, just, I don't know, rub your rosary or whatever and hope it works for you. But this doesn't matter. The rejoin feature will still sometimes work and sometimes not. There's no chance this is going to work all the time now.
Yeah, no.
No shot.
It'll never be that way, which I understand that being broken every once in a while, because it seems like something that might be difficult to do after your entire game crashes. You're able to load back up and rejoin. But yeah, of course, it's always going to have problems. I think the only 2 or 3 times I've had to do it this year, it's actually worked for me. Surprisingly.
Yeah. I'm at 2 for 3 this year.
It's just random, though.
It's worked for me twice, and it has not worked for me once. So, yeah. It's just no rhyme or reason. Yeah. And then that's pretty much it. Some other, like, very minor bug fixes. So, okay. What about this new event? The Shadow Hunt event is live. It started today. At the time of recording, it started, 55 minutes ago. What exactly does that entail? Don't really know. But I can tell you the rewards. So we haven't logged in yet. It just went live. But my suspicion is it's like the other events. There's going to be an event tab, and it's going to say, kill 5 guys, and you unlock this thing, or you get tokens, and then you spend them on these things, which are relevant. I'm going to go in order of importance. So starting with the least important thing we will be getting is the new belt-fed attachment for, I think, some LMGs. We had actually gone over this in, you know what? Let me actually pull this up because I want to see exactly what LMGs this is for. So I'm gonna Control F belt. Really? The word belt isn't here? I don't believe this at all. No way.
What?
I'm looking for this belt-fed attachment. And it's not showing up. I remember us talking about this.
Well, where are you looking?
Season 2 patch notes.
Well, it wouldn't be in the patch notes. It'd be in the blog post. They don't put all
would
that
it
type
be?
of stuff in the patch notes. Yeah, I'll find the blog post link.
Okay.
If I can, if possible.
If possible, yeah, okay. So we'll go over that, but to be clear, it's probably not going to be super relevant. I found it kind of interesting, but it depends on what guns it can go on and if that really matters.
I have it pulled up here. So all it says is belt-fed attachment coming mid-season. It says 3 attachments, LMGs, magazine attachment.
Oh.
So what does that mean? It takes up 3 attachments? I'm confused. I have no clue what this means.
Or it's an attachment for 3 LMGs. But are there 3 LMGs that don't have belts?
It says 3 attachments, comma, LMGs, comma, magazine attachment, comma, event reward. perfect English. I know what all that means. It says add an extreme amount of ammo that's continuously fed to the weapon through sustained fire. The weapon may overheat, so allow it to cool off now and then before resuming your barrage of damage.
Okay. So
I haven't seen anything about it so far.
I find this is probably going to be like that aftermarket part from last year. It was one of the barrels where it like rapidly increased the fire rate of some gun. I forget what gun it was, but as you shot it, it would overheat, and the more hot it would get, the less accurate it would be. So your bullets would not go where you're aiming. If this functions anything like that, which is what it sounds like, this will not be a good attachment. If it doesn't function that way, it also probably isn't going to be a good attachment, because the only thing I'd want a belt on as far as LMGs go that don't already have LMGs would be some LMG that has a really good time to kill and its only downside is a small mag. That doesn't exist in Warzone right now. And in multiplayer, I'm not putting a belt on an LMG because I'll be dead before I need to reload a normal sized mag. I'm not spending 20 minutes reloading a 200 round belt fed mag unless it's ground war, which isn't in the game. So this doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But we are getting some other interesting things. Next is the TR2, which is a marksman rifle. That's going to be available from this event. This is also known as the FAL. So semi-auto, lot of damage. There is a world where this is going to be pretty good in Warzone. However, it will use sniper ammo. So it's probably not going to be that good. But it's possible. So something to consider. But unlike Warzone, for multiplayer, this thing could go nuts, actually.
Yeah.
FAL historically has been very good in multiplayer because you're either one-tapping kids in core, which is insane, or you're two-tapping them for a really fast time to kill, probably. You may or may not need a headshot or like upper torso specifically, but still has very good potential. I would be surprised if this was bad in multiplayer. So that's kind of cool.
Warzone Loadout put out some early numbers for it. He said it's not meta, but it's somewhat viable. You need 7 shots to kill someone after 50 meters, even if you include 2 headshots in the mix.
That sounds awful.
Yeah.
Landing
he said
7
if you want to use a semi-auto
hard.
loadout, go for the Goblin.
Yeah,
so the Goblin,
right.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like there's gonna be a place for this in Warzone. Yeah. He said the Goblin is better in every single way, basically.
That sounds about right. Yeah. So there you go. But for multiplayer, I think this will go pretty good, pretty crazy. And then the last thing, which I'm very excited about because it has a lot of potential, is the binary trigger attachment, which is for the Tanto. That's also going to be from this event. And what that does is it changes it from a full auto gun to semi-auto, except when you pull down the trigger, so when you pull down your trigger on your controller, a bullet comes out. And then when you pull up on your trigger, you release it, another bullet comes out. So then if you tap it quickly, you're firing a lot of bullets quite fast. Now you might be thinking, that's cool, but I'd rather just shoot full auto because I can just hold it down and bullets come out quickly, automatically. Normally that would be true, but the Tanto, while it is full auto, has like a 3 RPM fire rate. It's incredibly slow. And I can tap fire a Tanto with a binary trigger and get a much higher fire rate than a full auto Tanto at its current rate of fire. So this actually could be really good because it's going to increase the effective fire rate of the Tanto. And if it doesn't reduce the damage, that's going to make the time to kill of the Tanto way faster than it is right now. So I'm actually quite excited to see how this is and what its pros and cons are. Because if it doesn't hurt your damage or your damage range too hard, mainly damage, if it doesn't hurt your damage, this is going to make the Tanto much better and maybe meta. And that would be a really fun meta because that would take some skill to use. It would almost be like one of my favorite SMGs of all time, the Daemon from Black Ops 4. You remember that little sucker?
Yeah, that was a fun one.
It was a burst fire SMG with like no burst delay. So it was a little different, but using it would feel largely the same. You'd be tapping your shit and stroking your shit. Are there any numbers in that tweet on that?
No, there are not. I'm guessing though, there's no way they just add on a binary trigger and don't reduce the damage in some way. I think they will.
Yeah, I suspect they'll make it an awful attachment because that's what they do every time they add a cool novel idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. So, yeah, the event's brand new. We haven't logged in yet. So we'll let you guys know on Saturday how any of these things are. But if you had to bet money, none of this is going to be relevant. If anything's going to be relevant, though, I think it's going to be the Tanto binary trigger. So,
yeah,
keep that in mind. Next section here is news and upcoming changes. So a couple little fun stories, nothing too crazy going on. Pretty slow week overall. But the first one, I actually just remember this. Somehow I was blessed with this on my Twitter feed. Some guy who has like 10 Twitter followers apparently is a Raven employee. Raven Software is the dev studio that is in charge of patching Warzone, which is to say they are in utter shambles right now. It's a disaster at Raven, obviously. I don't know what's going on, but nothing good. Something's afoot. So this guy works for that company, and he tweeted, "Hey guys, Raven is hiring a lot of people. Go to our website and apply or whatever." And he listed a bunch of job positions. I retweeted it. So you can go to @Razinon or at the Dropshot Pod and then see the retweet if you want to look at it yourselves. But one of the positions is for, I think it was Raven Head Quality Assurance Developer.
QA Manager.
QA Manager. And that is great news, because the thing I'm genuinely not joking. The one position that Raven needs the most is a QA manager, someone who is in charge of the QA team so that when they write patch notes, they reflect reality and are not lies every time. I'm literally not joking. That is the most important job they need right now. Their biggest deficit is a lack of QA. So having someone be in charge of the QA people, that's what they need the most. Because they either don't have one right now, or they've fired that person if they existed, as they should have, and they're looking for a new one. So this is great news. And I retweeted it and I said, thank fucking Christ, we need this badly.
Yeah.
So I don't know how quickly that slot will be filled and we can get this new guy or girl or they up and running, but hopefully it's quick. Hopefully it's soon. Hopefully it's before Verdansk, but we'll see. However, this is good news. This is what we need at Raven. We need a culling of by firing them, not by executing them, of the dev team.
Sure about that?
And hiring, lots of other people, new people. So I'm very pleased to see that.
You will foster the growth and engagement of Raven's talented QA staff. Wow.
Well,
you will be developing career growth strategies in partnership with peers and individual developers across the studio, with a focus on shaping the QA team to meet the product needs. Wow. Yeah. That sounds cool, man. So they're hiring that. They're hiring for a lead systems designer. That's, I think, the shit game, a developer for the shit game. Pretty sure when you hear a systems designer, that's essentially just, when you think of a game dev, that's that type of person.
It's like a game dev. Yeah.
Game dev. Yeah. Interesting. Right. That's cool. You should apply for it, man. You got to move to Wisconsin, though. Think you can be QA manager?
Let me be super clear. As a person who knows genuinely nothing about tech, well, not tech, but game development, software, hardware, video game design, any of that, I'm not joking. I could do a better job than whoever was employed in that position 2 weeks ago. I'm not joking. I'm dead fucking serious. Knowing nothing, I would do a better job. Yeah. Because it would actually would have been as simple as, hey, don't write in the patch notes if you didn't do it. I'll just log in myself on this build and see if any of this shit is actually working. And then I'll make a list of things for you to remove from what you planned on writing from the patch notes, which is going to be a lot, by the way. Get your backspace key ready, and then we can put the patch live. If that's all I did, I'd be a better manager. Yes, 100%. You also, and probably all of you listening. Anyway, so yeah, that's good. They're hiring a new person. A couple other news items here. Next one is related to zombies. New rumors claim that there are 3 more round-based zombies maps set to be released for BO6. This is from the Ghost of Hope. I think we kind of already knew this, although this tweet by Charlie Intel implies we didn't already know this. But there are going to be a lot more. He's
struggling for news like everybody else. But yeah, I think we knew early on there's basically going to be 1 new map per season.
Right.
So it sounds like just 1 season won't have a new map then. My guess it would be season 5 or 6, one of those 2.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool, but whatever. Another little fun item here. Recently, many of you probably already know this, PlayStation Network had gone down for 18 hours, which I guess was a historic length of downtime for PSN. And the reason that came to the Call of Duty world, of course, is because a lot of Call of Duty players play on PlayStation, and they could not play Call of Duty while PlayStation Network was down. They couldn't play anything online, in fact. During this time, Krispy Kreme announced that they were giving a free donut to gamers who have nothing else to do while PSN is down. Here was Krispy Kreme's tweet on the 8th. Calling all gamers, this PlayStation still works donut emoji. Grab a free original glazed donut today from 5 to 7 p.m. because sweet rewards don't need a server. Controller emoji, fire emoji, a bunch of hashtags based. This is a funny, cool tweet and idea. And shout out to the Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
The Krispy Kreme social media manager. Because this tweet was like thought of and approved by corporate and launched all inside of 18 hours. That's pretty impressive for like a company to just like randomly be like, oh, PSN's down, we should give people free donuts.
Yeah. And to have all of your locations do that, like with a few hours notice, there are probably a lot of locations that just didn't know. They're like, wait, what? Would you go to Krispy Kreme to pick up your free donut, man?
Honestly, if I was working a 9 to 5 and I saw that I could get a free ass donut after work, yeah, I'd swing by.
Would you? Yeah.
If it was close enough, I'd swing by, grab a free donut. And here's the beauty of the strategy. While I'm there, I'll get 13 donuts and pay for 12. Fuck it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then I would go home and eat them like a slob, which I am. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny. But more interestingly, since Call of Duty BO6's campaign, which is single player, by the way, requires a constant internet connection, PlayStation players can't even play Black Ops 6 offline while the PlayStation Network is down. This is the problem. A lot of games do this, to be fair. This isn't like unique to Call of Duty, but Call of Duty does engage in this practice of making you be online to play any mode in the game. There are some games, in fact, I can't think of any examples, where they are only single player games, but you still have to be online to play them, which is completely insane. And I guess BO6 is one of them. I didn't know that, but we
talked about this hilarious. On Saturday. Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
I think we talked about the donut thing too. Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
I need to go to a neurologist if that's true. Because I don't remember
I'm
either
telling
of
you,
those
man,
things.
it's the controller brain rot.
It could be
frying your
controller brain rot. Yes, that's absolutely
Every time
possible.
you hold that thing, it's just frying that sucker.
Yeah, that happens. So anyway.
Yeah, but that is, yeah. Because I think this was what led to when we started talking also about like, kind of goes along with like the physical media thing we were talking about from the Q&A thing. This is why a lot of people are like, oh, I want my physical game so I can play no matter what, blah, blah. But yeah, it is insane, really, that a single player campaign game like Call of Duty, you have to have an internet connection.
Yeah.
Why?
It's insane. Yeah. And Pat, probably not many people wanted to play the campaign during that time. But what they probably thought was, well, I can't get on Warzone and hack. So while I wait for PlayStation Network to get back up, I might as well play the campaign, which I haven't gotten to yet. Since I can't play online, and since campaign is single player, I'll be able to at least play that while I wait. And then lo and behold, they can't do that either. That's probably what happened. So probably a lot of people wanted to play the campaign, honestly, because there are a lot of Call of Duty addicts out there.
Yeah.
And then two other quick things here. Former Activision CEO Bobby Kotick, I guess, had been on a podcast, the Grit podcast. I don't know what that is, but Charlie Intel pulled some quotes from this episode that had Bobby Kotick on it. For those of you who don't know, Bobby Kotick is the former CEO of Activision. He was the CEO of Activision like during MW19, Cold War, up until fairly recently, a couple of years ago. And he said a lot in the podcast, but the only one I found worth mentioning was that he said Microsoft has not changed much at Activision and Blizzard since they acquired them, because Microsoft bought Activision, Blizzard, and by extension Call of Duty recently. And but Bobby Kotick also said there is no corporate infrastructure anymore, so it's back to all studios. I don't really know what that means. So, okay. But then the main point I said this is that Bobby Kotick then went on to say, quote, "People seem pretty happy. That's what I hear," end quote. And I'm wondering, what people is he talking about? Because it is certainly not the player base. If anyone's happy, if any people are happy, it is not the player base. And I'm not sure I'd call Activision employees people. They're something, but they're not people. They're reptilians, monsters, demons, whatever. They're not people, though. So he must be talking about the player base, and they're not happy. So it bugged me. Who fed him that crock of shit? Because that's not true. The people are not happy. They're miserable and incensed, actually, at the state of this video game.
So
which is
maybe,
not good, by the way. So
maybe the corporate infrastructure and Bobby, that was the thing holding together COD. Because if it's now all back to the studios, maybe that's why just nothing ever works. They don't work well enough together or something. Maybe they were forced to do things together before, because Bobby would tie them up to their desks, of course, and now they don't do that, and the studios are just free to do what they want, so people aren't working, they're not doing a good job. Maybe that's it, man.
Possible. I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to actually listen to that whole episode to understand entirely what he means by there's no corporate infrastructure anymore, so it's back to all studios.
Yeah.
Because if it said so it's all back to the studios, I would understand what that means. But it's back to all studios, I don't know what that means. So, and it's not important enough for me to actually go listen to the episode.
There's some other interesting ones here, too. He also said EA wanted to acquire and merge with Activision back in the day. They tried to buy us a bunch of times. We had merger conversations a bunch of times. He also says EA passed on buying Call of Duty and Guitar Hero before Activision fully owned the IPs. Wow. That's crazy. We could have been playing an EA game, man. The game would be somehow worse right now if EA owned Call of Duty, actually. Genuinely, it would be a lot worse.
Yeah. So EA is... There are a lot of bad publishers. Actually, there aren't. There are a couple bad publishers. One of them is Activision. The other one's EA, and EA actually might be worse. As inconceivable as that may be to you, if you haven't played FIFA or whatever else EA makes, EA is a terrible, terrible publisher. Who publishes, is Ubisoft a publisher?
Yes.
They're also really bad. They're also really, really bad. But those are the big, those are on my Mount Rushmore of dog shit publishers. Activision, EA, and Ubisoft. Yeah, for sure. So it could have been worse, maybe. Yeah. I'm not like super in the know about what EA has done poorly, but I do know they've done a lot that was very bad. Bad, terrible stuff. So, maybe we dodged a bullet.
It's kind of interesting too. In 2020, Bobby Kotick, he tried to jointly purchase TikTok with Microsoft, but the bid never happened. He says during that conversation in 2020, Microsoft CEO told him we should talk about us buying Activision if the TikTok deal failed. So that's what they ended up doing. Interesting.
Wow.
Because that was before the purchase went through.
Yeah. Yep.
Even Bobby Kotick thinks that the Game Pass model won't work too. He says it's not going to work in the long term, but says Microsoft can take those big bets. Yeah, there's no way in like a few years, 3 to 5 years, COD is still on Game Pass. They're definitely losing way more money that way, and they're going to change something, you would think.
Yeah, there are a lot of things I wouldn't trust Bobby Kotick on because he would know nothing about them, like anything related to like gameplay or anything. But stuff like that, like whether or not it's going to pay off to put COD on Game Pass, I would trust him on. He would know.
Yeah.
Like he's been in those meetings like where they ran the numbers or talked about it or whatever. So, but like he said, Microsoft has so much money, they can just risk it because the risk is worth the potential reward. And if it flops, they can just rip it off Game Pass, lose a couple $1 million, couple dozen $1 million, and then be fine. Yeah. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Yeah, that tracks. But anyway. And then last thing here, just a funny story. Dexerto wrote an article on this. Just a little article. This happened on the 6th. Cops warn that Call of Duty isn't worth, quote, getting shot over after a gaming argument turns violent. Police officers in Indianapolis are advising the public that getting into fights over Call of Duty isn't worth risking their lives after suggesting a heated argument over the game ended in a shooting. You do see these stories probably once every like 5 years. I will come upon a story about some people that were talking shit online and someone actually got active, got mixy IRL. And this is, I guess, the 5-year mark has struck. From fighters to shooters and RTS games, it is not uncommon for feuds to develop over video games. But sometimes people take things way too far. That's what the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police believed happened after responding to a call about a disturbance early morning, February 6th. Officers arrived at a house on a street, and they found a man who had been wounded after being shot. The victim was transported to a hospital. And police think it was, according to the police, there were at least 3 people in the house when the shooting took place and believe a fight started while they played COD. Officers noticed that Call of Duty video game was on the TV. Of course, he plays on TV speakers. And there were a couple of chairs near the television.
So my question is, what was going on that led to an argument? Because it's like, okay, can you play split screen still? Like on zombies or anything?
Yes.
Does that still exist?
Yes.
So I'm thinking, what were they playing, like split screen and like somebody got mad at the other guy?
Great
or were
question.
they taking turns playing online? They were queuing into Warzone random fill. Or they were just playing solos Warzone online and some guy was like, it's my turn, bitch. And then the other guy was like, well, I got wiped too early, so I'm going to get a second go, you know? Right. And then he just shot his ass over it.
He just says,
I need to know more details.
I'll show you, Gunny. He whips out his Glock. Yeah, just insane. And diabolical work. To be clear, they're not like sure about this. Arvin didn't specify which Call of Duty was being played, but he added it could be possible the fight broke out over a video game. So it's not like this definitely happened because of COD. I just thought the headline was really funny when they say police officers in Indianapolis are advising the public that getting into fights over COD isn't worth risking their lives. That's a funny thing for the police department to have actually said. Because duh.
So they're still hunting for the guy too.
Oh, really?
Police are, well, at the time, police are still looking for suspects and say the shooting is under investigation.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe they were like playing online against each other and they knew each other and he just rolled up, ran in the house, shot him a few times and bounced. Pretty
they
based.
could have been doing scrims practicing for the CDL for challengers or whatever it's called.
Hold on, we got to read this one too. Last year, a 9-year-old boy who allegedly murdered his father with a gun and hatchet was accused of copying Warzone. Wow. Let's click on this.
I don't remember seeing this.
No, I don't either.
This was written on March 18th of this year, or of last year, 2024.
Last year, yeah. I'm trying to get through.
A 9-year-old boy was arrested for the suspected murder of his own father.
Details in the newly unearthed documents claim that the boy may have been inspired by Warzone primarily because of the weapons used in the alleged murder, a handgun and a tomahawk. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
What? That's a crazy leap, dude.
So just because the dad owned a handgun and a tomahawk, it means the kid was inspired by Warzone. Got it.
It's a hatchet. It's not even a tomahawk. It's a tomahawk style hatchet, which is even more common. There are legitimate reasons to own a hatchet, you know? If it was like a throwing knife, like that's one thing. Like this is expressly designed to be thrown. It's like, okay, maybe.
This is so dumb, yeah. The arrest warrant states that the information housed on the boy's smartphone and tablet will be used to indicate how or why these specific methods. Oh, never mind. Okay, yeah, this is just a clickbait article.
It's just Slow News Day.
It's a terrible fucking website, by the way.
Yeah. So, anyway. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So, we hope you enjoyed. We do have some announcements. An announcement. Our last Patreon ep is live for our Platinum and above patrons. It was our Q&A. It was fun and exciting. Actually, had some good questions. A generational question from NPR, actually. So kudos to you again. And we will be pumping out some other bonus eps for all of our patrons. We're going to record one tomorrow, and that'll probably go live on Saturday. So if you want to hear some more Call of Duty, the Dropshot podcast content, patreon.com/Dropshot. Bonus eps, 3 a month, and ad-free episodes and early access episodes, all for the low price of $5 a month. And if you wanted even more bonus episodes, you could get that. Go to the patreon.com/Dropshot. You can look at all the tiers and see what works for you. But you get a lot of stuff at the gold tier and all the Call of Duty content there. So, and that'll be, we'll have our first one for this month coming out on Saturday. And then we'll have a couple other ones coming out on the back of that. So that, as they say, is all, I think. Anything else, buddy?
I believe that's all. That's what they say, yeah.
Yeah.
That's all, folks. That's what I say often.
To be clear, guys, this is going to be a pretty light season. It's just going to be a pretty light season because they said themselves, again, for season 2, they're not going to be doing a bunch of new content. They're going to work on like actually fixing the game. And they've made some progress, but I mean, they're not moving quickly enough if they want the game to be in a playable state come Verdansk. So we'll let you guys know if that changes, but I wouldn't expect that. And in the meantime, I mean, don't expect any huge updates, honestly, to multiplayer or Warzone until season 3. And then season 3, it's going to be blown wide open because we're going to be getting Verdansk. That's going to be a huge season for content. It's going to be buggy, but it's going to be a lot to talk about and get into and potentially get excited for. As far as multiplayer and zombies, you can maybe expect some stuff, maybe just mainly multiplayer with season 2 Reloaded, but that's going to be like the next big thing, and that's not going to be very big. So just as a warning for you guys, but we will keep you up to date in the meantime. Activision devs do not play their own game.
No, not at all.